But if they tell you a safari, what is a safari? You're going and they take in a truck like some kind of a truck with very thick wheels because you're riding on a highway that's not really a highway. It's a bumpy Tzahar the road because they never built real roads over there. And you have two Gentiles with long guns sitting behind you in the truck. And three Jews are sitting in front of them. And the Gentiles with the guns are telling you, this is a very dangerous section, but don't worry about it. And the Jews are trembling. Jews are trembling. They said, don't worry, we got our guns ready. We're gonna go this way, but we're going the other way because there's more lions in this direction. There's only tigers here, and the tigers are not as dangerous because over here they didn't eat yet. And he has the gun over my head, and I'm sitting there wondering. And they say, "Oh, we're trying to go a little faster, but the road," and we're all bouncing and bouncing on the road, and everybody is wondering where the next tiger is coming from. Oh, there's the lions. Well, let's go this way. No, the tigers are. Let's go that. Oh yeah, the Gentiles are happy because they got a gun, they got something to shoot at, and the Jews are trembling. Are we going to live through this or not? You go through 3 hours of this sweat and this suffering, and then when you come back, everybody asks you, did you have a good time? This is the greatest time.
And welcome to another edition of Talkline. I am Zev-Brenner. We have a very special guest. Jews are known for being very funny people. We have one of the funniest, Jackie Mason, the ultimate Jew. We'll be right back with our special program right after these messages. Stay tuned.
Treat yourself to the best-selling Balabusta's Choice, the kosher cookbook that's being used by thousands. Over 600 select kitchen-tested recipes and over 70 color photos with easy-to-follow directions in a sturdy hardcover binding that lasts for years. For beginners to advanced, from basic to gourmet, with this cookbook you can prepare anything from a snack to a simcha and be a smashing success. It's only $19.99 plus shipping and handling. To order, call 1-877-9-COOKBOOK.
You won't find someone who loves Sharf Sataravot more than me. The staff here is wonderful. They treat him like a friend. Mr. and Mrs. Shard have helped me so many times. Anytime I had a question, they were like the first people I would call, and it was like calling, you know, a good friend that gave you advice from the heart.
As soon as I walked into Sharf Sataravot, I said, this is it for my mother. Everybody was so lovely and warm, and there were so many activities, and I saw this atmosphere, this ambience immediately.
Everybody and anybody in the neighborhood walks in all the time to visit, to cheer up the people, to have nachas, to see a place run so well.
A lot of people don't know this about my mother. She ran facilities in Ohio for senior citizens. I think that this is God rewarding her now, being in a place where she's having such good care.
My parents really needed someone to give them the love that this place was able to give them.
When you walk into the doors of Living Quarters, you'll enter a world of dazzling home design ideas. Living Quarters has dining sets, children's furniture, including a teen gallery, bedding, lighting, accessories, and more. See what your home can be with a little help from Living Quarters. Living Quarters is open Sunday through Thursday, located at 5926 16th Avenue in Brooklyn. Call them at 1-866-EASY-LIVING. That's 1-866, the letter E, the letter Z, living.
I'm Dr. Roscoe Brady. I discovered the cause and a treatment for type 1 Gaucher disease. Gaucher disease is the most common Jewish genetic disease. It is more common than Tay-Sachs. Symptoms of Gaucher disease include excessive fatigue, enlarged belly, easy bruising, and bone pain. There are effective treatment options for these people. Early detection is critical. To locate a Gaucher treatment center near you, please call the number on the screen or visit www.gauchercare.com.
Yad Vashem's central database of Shoah victims' names is now on the internet. This is a race against time. Visit the site today and submit unrecorded names so they will always be remembered.
I've been on a lot of TV shows. Favorites is Zev-Brenner on Talkline. I love this show. I love this network. I love talking about my books, my activities with Zev-Brenner. Good questions, good listeners, always get a good response.
When you walk into the doors of Living Quarters, you'll enter a world of dazzling home design ideas. Living Quarters has dining sets, children's furniture, including a teen gallery, bedding, lighting, accessories, and more. See what your home can be with a little help from Living Quarters. Living Quarters is open Sunday through Thursday, located at 5926 16th Avenue in Brooklyn. Call them at 1-866-EASY-LIVING. That's 1-866, the letter E, the letter Z, living.
Jews never stop eating no matter where they go. Even when they go to a dentist. You got a cookie meanwhile? You ever see Jews on a cruise ship? All the Gentiles on a cruise ship are going for athletic activities, running back and forth, basketball, handball, volleyball, and all the Jews are wondering, where's the food? What time?
Welcome back to the program. I am Zev-Brenner. It's a privilege to have with us once again Jackie Mason, what can I call her, the world's funniest Jew?
It's up to you. If you're not sure, you don't have to call me that. But if you know anybody funnier, I didn't know his name. Do you know anybody funnier?
I can't think of anybody funnier.
So then that's good enough.
So then you're the funny.
That means I'm the one.
Were you always funny growing up?
I was always funny. I never had any trouble being funny. Comedy came always natural to me because I always said to myself that it's an easier way to make a living than being a rabbi. I was raised to become a rabbi, and I became a rabbi.
Well, aren't you from a long generation of rabbis?
I come from a generation of many hundreds of years of rabbis. If you look back my family tree, all the way back when Columbus discovered America, if he was related to me, he would have been a rabbi. Because my father didn't allow you to even live on the street unless you were a rabbi. Whoever came into the house, if he wasn't a rabbi, you started studying to become a rabbi.
Well, you actually studied to become.
You didn't have to be a person. You could be a cat, a dog, a horse. Everybody had to become a rabbi.
But you became a rabbi. You went to yeshiva
I actually became
in
a
Lower East Side.
Rabbi, yes.
You had Rav Moshe Feinstein, a blessed member, gave you ordination.
Right.
Did you crack up during the ordination? Or?
I didn't crack anybody up because that wasn't my purpose in life at that time. Nobody was paying me to tell jokes as a rabbi. I only tell jokes if I get paid for them. I have to make a living from it, otherwise I'm very serious.
But you ever consider being, we had the singing rabbi, do you ever think of becoming the funny rabbi and being in the pulpit and cracking jokes?
A singing rabbi to me is a moron. Nobody comes to hear a rabbi sing. There's other people make a living from it. The kid that doesn't become a rabbi, what right do you have to suddenly become a singer? You're only putting a guy out of work. It means you got nothing to say. You have to start singing all of a sudden. So the guy must have been stupid. Otherwise, he'd never be a singing rabbi.
But rabbis tell jokes from the pulpit, right? There aren't there many. There's the funniest rabbi contest.
It's wonderful to tell jokes. They want to hear jokes, but they don't expect you to start singing. They don't expect you to dance either. They don't expect you to start flying or climbing the walls. That's your job to tell jokes, be entertaining, and deliver messages. Because that's, as a matter of fact, every great speaker. They used to call them Magidim years ago. The great speakers were called Magidim, and a great Magid was considered like a great lecturer, a great philosophical speaker, a guy who knew how to hold an audience and who could absolutely pulverize everybody when he got up. He was a kind of a person who could stand on the stage, and they were basically great actors and thinkers and talkers, and they mesmerized an audience. I still remember my father speaking. And he was a brilliant talker, and he always had some beautiful illustrations in comedic times. He would sporadically throw in some comedy here and there to highlight a point, to help deliver the message. You see every time you watch television, you see the great black people, the black ministers, and you see how dramatically they talk, and they always interpolate some humor. They always tell you a joke here and there in the middle of the sermon. Every time you watch a great Sunday sermon, you always hear jokes from every one of these ministers and priests and reverends. They're all doing comedy. because they know that you have to keep people entertained. You have to keep people involved. And people are not going to stay involved if it's just a philosophical thought, if it's highfalutin language, because they won't identify with it and they'll get bored by it. Nobody comes for an intellectual experience. That's why you'll notice the educational channels nobody's watching.
They have to watch you and me instead.
What do they call popular entertainment? That's not too intelligent. As soon as it becomes intelligent, it's not popular entertainment.
It's an oxymoron, right?
Right.
So what happened? So here you got ordination. What made you decide to say, I'm not going to be a practicing rabbi, I want to be a comic? What happened? Did a light bulb go off?
I saw the difference in the salary. It didn't take long to figure that out. A rabbi could live 25,000 sermons for the same price that you get for 6 minutes on television. You have to go through a year's work for delivering sermons before you make 5 minutes as a comedian. So you don't have to be a great mathematician to see the difference.
And what your family, what your father?
I really think religion is a beautiful thing, but cash is still more important.
Cash is king, right?
Right.
What did your father say when you became a comic?
I kept it quiet. I didn't think he has to know everything. I felt compassion is more important than truth if it's going to hurt somebody. Truth is nothing that you don't elevate truth to a crime of a special value of its own. It doesn't live on its own terms. Truth has nothing to do with the great quality or great character if it at the same time destroys somebody. If my father would have been destroyed if he knew that I suddenly decided to become a comedian, because a comedian is not only not going to be a rabbi, but he's also not going to be particularly religious. So to my father, it was worth enjoying. If I joined the Ku Klux Klan, it couldn't have offended him worse. It was like I could have converted. It suddenly announced, hello, I decided to become a Muslim, and I'm going to a mosque now. It was like stabbing a man in the heart.
But your brothers are rabbis. I know you're very close with your brothers, too, and your family.
Sure. They're all still rabbis.
They don't tell jokes?
Maybe they do, but thank God they don't make a living from it, so I don't have no competition from them.
So, Jackie, what would you attribute your success? You've been around...
Talent. It's hard for you to figure that out. But that's what it is. It's called talent.
It's called talent. That's what they call it. Okay. I wasn't sure. Thank you for telling me.
You're supposed to be humble. You're not supposed to say, look how talented you are. I got there because of a big break. I'm not going to be so humble about it. The fact is, I'm a better comedian than all the rest.
But was there any particular event that put you into the stratosphere of comics?
What happened was that I was telling jokes in the mountains in the Catskills, and my career was zooming in the Catskills. But when it zooms in the Catskills and you become the biggest star in the Catskills, you're still doing everything except making a living. You still can't make a living there because there's no money in the Catskills. As soon as you ask money, they can find another comedian. So he's not so funny. As long as he shows up, it's close enough. They don't need the best comedian. They need somebody to be standing there. If they could tell them tonight there's a comedian, people don't know the difference. They figure it's close enough. So when I was performing on the Catskills, I said to myself, I'll never make much money here. So I decided to be a comedian who could perform for secular American audiences. And I said to myself, I'll be a big hit there. And I was the only one who thought so, because every time I told somebody that instead of a bar mitzvah I'm performing in a nightclub, they looked at me and said, to who? Do you know any Jews in the Jewish nightclubs? I said, Goyim are going to come there, real Gentiles. They're going to listen to you. A Jew couldn't imagine that a Gentile could possibly laugh at my humor. But they laugh at Italian comedians and Spanish comedians and black comedians. They love all kinds of ethnic comedians. But if a Jew talks, they go into a state of shock and panic and nervousness because they think a pogrom will start. That the guy will start killing Jews in the streets if they hear a Jew talk like this. Half of the Jews spend their whole life trying to sound like a Gentile. Move into Gentile neighborhoods, join Gentile country clubs. It's a status symbol to Jews to feel like a Gentile.
Actually, you play that role, I think, in Caddyshack,
and if all
right?
of a sudden I remind them where they come from by showing up and talking like this is the family they ran away from because they were talking like this. This is their father, their uncle, their brother-in-law that they ran away from. This sounds like Brooklyn to them, and they're trying to live on Park Avenue and join a fancy Gentile club.
But you were unusual because you didn't change your name, you didn't change your accent. You were the ultimate Jew, if I can use the name of your current play.
Right.
Now, but I think you played that role in Caddyshack,
It's revolutionary even now to call yourself the ultimate Jew. That's why the title of this play still gets special attention. That's why there's a sensationalism factor just in that title, because a Jew still doesn't make a blazing, glorious thing out of being Jewish. It's still something that he says he happens to be, but look how I don't sound like it.
But I think the role you mentioned, you played in Caddyshack, didn't you?
Right.
That role of that,
Right.
where the son is ashamed of his Jewish father.
Right.
But any movies in the offing too?
Oh, I got about 12 movies that I'm making now. One after the other. All the Hollywood studios are begging for me to make a picture almost every week. Unfortunately, I'm too busy to make that many pictures. But I'm offered every picture. One with Carmen Diaz was trying to make a picture with me, and the other yenta, what's her name? Who? Aniston. No, Aniston. What's her name? Aniston.
Okay, there's so many. I thought you were going to tell
all
me.
These stars, I have no interest in them. I'm too big for pictures. Perfect for a show like this. I'm happy.
When are you coming back?
This is big enough. Too big for movies. You ever see a star that big that the movies can't even afford them?
I'm learning.
I'm the only one.
You're the only one. When we come back, we continue our conversation with Jackie Mason. He's the ultimate Jew, and he's been keeping people laughing for decades. And we'll continue right after these words from our sponsors. Stay tuned.
I'm Dr. Roscoe Brady. I discovered the cause and a treatment for type 1 Gaucher disease. Gaucher disease is the most common Jewish genetic disease. It is more common than Tay-Sachs. Symptoms of Gaucher disease include excessive fatigue, enlarged belly, easy bruising, and bone pain. There are effective treatment options for these people. Early detection is critical. To locate a Gaucher treatment center near you, please call the number on the screen or visit www.gauchercare.com.
We pledge to preserve their memory. For over 50 years, Yad Vashem has collected millions of Holocaust victims' names, but many are still missing. The central database of Shoah victims' names is now on the internet. This is a race against time. Visit the site today and submit unrecorded names so they will always be remembered.
Amit nurtures and teaches children at risk throughout Israel, from orphans of the Holocaust in 1947 to the children of Russian and Ethiopian immigrants in 1999. Amit has cared for Israel's neediest children for nearly 75 years. In over 55 schools, youth villages, and children's homes in Israel, Amit offers academic and technological training in a religious environment for over 14,000 children. Amit is your investment in Israel's future. For an information packet, call today.
Food. You ever see a guy in your life who actually gains weight from food? I never heard of it. Everybody tells you the same thing. I don't eat anything. I never eat. I haven't had a real meal in at least 32 years. I never eat. I never eat. I can't eat. I have no appetite. I don't know what it is with me. There's something about my I don't know. I look at food, I blow up. I don't know what it is.
Welcome back to the program. I am Zev-Brenner. The legendary Jackie Mason is with us. Latest show, The Ultimate Jew. Jackie, I know that you've done different one-man Broadway shows. The Ultimate Jew is the last Broadway show that you're doing?
For Broadway. I'll be performing all over the world in general, because all over the world, when I want to perform, I can say what I please. But on Broadway, you have to be very precise, because the critics come there studying you very carefully to see if you repeated one joke.
Do they actually remember if you repeated a joke from 2 years ago?
It's amazing how much they remember. They remember not because they care that much about the show, but because they want to be so professional that they're hoping to catch you, to prove to themselves that they're a better critic than the other one, because they could find if you made a mistake, if they said some inconsistency or repeated something that doesn't make sense, or if they just repeated something at all, that even if it does make sense, or if you refer to anything that's old or from a month ago, so they could say the show is too old. If you say something about Clinton, but he picked on Clinton before, if he picked on this one, he should have said this. They evaluate a show from every point of view except the comedy. You could get 1 million laughs and tear the house down. Instead of mentioning anything about the fact that it tore the house down and we got a standing ovation, you would never know it. That guy will show you 30 different things that were inconsistent. I get him, it's an intellectual exercise to prove that he could catch it, to prove he's so smart and he could see things nobody ever would notice. So he's proving to himself what a brilliant genius he is. He built a critic is basically writing with a conflict of interest involved. There's a conflict of interest in every critic, because it's more important to him to crusade for himself, to prove how a great critic he is, than to evaluate your show. You're incidental to his need to promote himself, because if he's good enough as a critic, he could become a more featured critic, or more popular critic, or move to a better paper. So you're his vehicle for success, like a prosecutor is trying to become a governor. That's why they keep finding guilty. Everybody is guilty. That's why so many people are sent into jail who never did anything, because it's a stepping stone to the governorship or to the presidency. So he's involved with his own career. It's the same thing with the critic. But the more he destroys me, the better he looks as a critic. If everybody loves you, the chances are you'll more likely try to find reason why he's the only one who thinks you stink, so you can stand out from the back as a critic.
But Jackie, you know, you play a lot of mixed audience. A lot of Jews come to see your program, your show, and Jews are the biggest critics, right? They're busy counting. How many seats did he fill up? He must be making a fortune tonight.
Not only that, the Jews are even more wasted than the regular critic, because if they enjoy it, they resent it, because they're saying to themselves,
why is he doing it? I can do it, right?
Not only that, if they have too good a time, they say to themselves, I'm not such a big critic if I had such a good time. A Jew has to be able to come back and tell you why the show stunk. So he could let you know that he could see things.
That's good for your business. They buy a second ticket. But you have a very interesting. I know you like playing up in the shows, the difference between Jews and the non-Jews that come to you.
I do a lot of that type of comedy, but I do less and less of that because everybody has heard that type of joke before. So even though I'm telling you something new about it, the basic theme is the same. So they start to feel like they've heard it before. And Jews are always looking for something that makes them feel they've heard it before, so they shouldn't have to come to your next show. Because every Jew that buys a ticket is involved with a whole conflict. Do I have to buy a ticket? I'd rather not buy a ticket because it costs money. If it goes for nothing, they don't care what's going on. As long as it costs money, they're trying to hope that there's no reason to go there, so that they get involved with a fight with the wife. She wants to go, he'd rather not go, or he wants to go and she don't want to go. Somebody's involved in trying to save the money every time a Jew has to buy something. A fight breaks out if it's necessary.
I'm surprised they don't send somebody to record the jokes and then they'll save the ticket.
They try every trick in the world. They try every trick in the world. That's why nobody pays for my tapes. I do a joke in my act. I say there's two things no Jew ever paid for: my tapes and Sweet and Low. Everybody sees Sweet and Low, it's in the pocket. Jews have never stole anything in their lives. They see Sweet and Low, they put it in their pocket. Same thing with a tape. They say to themselves, if you could make a copy of a tape, why should you pay for a tape? Makes sense to them, so they steal it. Just like when a Jew sits down in a restaurant. If you could get all the salt out of a salt shaker, and it's already there, it's in the shaker. What do you have to go buy salt? All you have to do is put it in your pocket. You'll find that in the Jewish restaurants, every Jewish owner of every restaurant I ever met told me the same thing. That in Miami Beach, they all told it to me that by the time the season is over, all their salt shakers are stolen, all their sugar is stolen, and that's why if you go into a Gentile restaurant, the Sweet and Low is on the table. You'll notice at a Jewish restaurant, it's in the waiter's pocket.
He gets it instead of a tip.
You cannot get a Sweet and Low at a table in a Jewish restaurant, because Jews are more honest than everybody else in the world when it comes to real thievery. But that's only in a case where it's worth a minimum of $40. Below that, you could steal it. It doesn't count. It doesn't count.
Jack, I was telling you before the program, it's interesting that you're able to cut an interesting interesting SWAT in the Jewish community. You have ultra-Orthodox that love your material, people who are marginally Jewish, people who are not Jewish at all. So you're able to talk the language everybody's able to.
I find that if you tell a joke that's universal, my themes and my whole approach to everything I talk about is absolutely universal. Only retarded people or idiots or maniacs or people whose brain has stopped working 30 years ago don't understand my comedy or can't identify with it. Because what I talk about is everyday things that everybody experiences. It's basic political jokes about all the satire I do about all the political campaign and all the personalities involved. Who doesn't understand it? Is an Orthodox Jew think that there's different candidates running for president than a non-Orthodox Jew?
I think they wish they were.
The Gentile doesn't know about the same candidate? Or I talk about cars and the ridiculousness of the status symbols about the cars you buy. You buy a Lamborghini that costs $500,000 and you can't even sit in it. It feels like it was built by a Jewish chiropractor. Now if I tell you the joke or a Gentile the joke, or if I make fun of Starbucks coffee and the whole concept of that it's based on a big colossal fraud of paying $5 for a cup of coffee because they call it latte. Latte is worth nothing more than coffee. It's a touch of steamed cream. That amount of steamed cream is worth literally nothing. Go into any coffee shop, they'll give you all the cream you want till you pass away. It's still $1.25. But as soon as it says Starbucks, $4.50. Why? Because they're thieves.
But they get away with it. You remind me of, I think there was a clothing company called Schmate, and it sounded great, right?
Yes,
You can instead of Schmate.
I do the whole thing about once you put a French accent on anything, it goes from $1 to $37.50.
What do you think about the current crop of politicians? You must have a lot of good material.
I do a lot of material, but this I'm not giving away here because this is the highlight of my show.
I'm trying to save from buying a ticket.
And not only will you save the money, but everybody watching us will save the money. And I'll be the only one who worked for nothing. And not only am I working for nothing, but I'll start losing thousands of customers. So you're going to cost me $137,000 by being on your show. So I'll be empty for the next month and a half if I give away the jokes.
We're speaking with Jackie Mason. I can't get any jokes out of him. He's saving it for The Ultimate Jew, which is his new play, which is on Broadway and also going to be touring around the country. And we'll be back with The Ultimate Jew, Jackie Mason, right after these messages. Don't go away.
You won't find someone who loves Sharf Satire vote more than me. The staff here is wonderful. They treat him like a friend. Mr. and Mrs. Shard have helped me so many times. Anytime I had a question, they were like the first people I would call, and it was like calling, you know, a good friend that gave you advice from the heart.
As soon as I walked into Sharf Satire, I said, this is it for my mother. Everybody was so lovely and warm, and there were so many activities, and I saw this atmosphere, this ambience immediately.
Everybody and anybody in the neighborhood walks in all the time to visit, to cheer up the people, to have nachas, to see a place run so well.
A lot of people don't know this about my mother. She ran facilities in Ohio for senior citizens. I think that this is God rewarding her now, being in a place where she's having such good care.
My parents really needed someone to give them the love that this place was able to give them.
I'm Dr. Roscoe Brady. I discovered the cause and a treatment for type 1 Gaucher disease. Gaucher disease is the most common Jewish genetic disease. It is more common than Tay-Sachs. Symptoms of Gaucher disease include excessive fatigue, enlarged belly, easy bruising, and bone pain. There are effective treatment options for these people. Early detection is critical. To locate a Gaucher treatment center near you, please call the number on the screen or visit www.gauchercare.com.
Has nothing to do with me. It's not me. It's my metabolism. It's my metabolism. Where's your metabolism? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what metabolism is or where it is, but they all blame it on the metabolism. Where's your metabolism? Say that to anybody. It's all over wherever it is. It blows you up, and that's it. The rest of the Jews tell you it's my thyroid. My thyroid. Where's your thyroid? Right next to the metabolism.
Welcome back to the program. I am Zev-Brenner. Jackie Mason, The Ultimate Jew, is with us. That's the name of his play that's playing in the city, in Manhattan, and also throughout the country. New World Theater. Jackie,
New World Stages.
New World Stages.
On 50th Street, on 50th Street on Broadway.
I gave it a new name. I hope you didn't mind.
I know it's killing you that its customers might actually show up, so you figure they'll mix them up and everybody will go to Philadelphia and they'll forget about it.
But I think they're gonna find you. They're gonna find one way or another, by hook or by crook. They'll find you.
You're trying to make a detective out of them. I'm trying to tell them where it is, so everybody doesn't have to walk around.
So say again, where is it, Jackie? One more time. Where is it? Where is it?
It's 50th Street, called the New World Stages.
Now, I noticed in between breaks you were singing Chazanah's cantorial music. You love cantorial Jewish music.
Right.
You don't perform on stage with cantorial music,
Well,
right?
I throw it in periodically just to remind people what a fantastic cantor I am, because I'm frustrated about it. I have to become a comedian to make money, but cantorial music is my first love and my greatest love. I feel like I'm a great natural cantor. To me, all the cantors in the world put together don't have my feeling for the essence of the basic cantorial music. That's the old traditional sound of the historical sound of the Jew, and nobody feels it better than me. So I feel like I'm cheating the public if I don't contribute a little chazonis. I don't charge extra for it, even though it's worth a fortune.
So you are the singing rabbi, after all. You said before there's no such thing as a singing rabbi.
No, that's a cantor's job.
Oh, cantor. Okay.
That's a chazan. That's why they call it a chazan. You're Jewish all your life, you don't know the difference between a chazan and a rabbi?
Some shuls I don't know the difference.
Am I in the wrong building? Is this show aimed at the Chinese population? You see, Jewish people heard about it.
You can talk about it in your next act.
You never did, you wasted your time, you should go back to your yeshiva.
So why did you come up with a cantorial album? A CD?
Because nobody buys it. Cantorial music.
But if you sing it, maybe they'll buy it.
Cantorial music doesn't sell. The greatest cantors in the world, like Moshe Kosovitsky, and now Helfgard, who's considered a genius, and he has a brilliant, fantastic cantorial voice. His records are out, and I spoke to some of the people who are selling those records. They sold 2 in Pittsburgh, 1 in Philadelphia, 1 they're still trying to sell, 1 they almost sold. You would think there's no Jews in America. They're just not buying it.
I think people are buying. There's supposed to be a renewed interest in cantorial Jewish music today.
Interest, but not a new spending of cash. I'm talking about cash, not interest.
Jack, you can't get them to spend any cash. You're good at that.
They're all interested in buildings, but they're not buying them. They're interested.
Buy a ticket to the show and get
I'm
a CD.
interested in architecture. Does that mean I'm buying a building?
You know, this is a special year for Israel. Israel's celebrating a special. I know you are committed, passionate to Israel.
Anniversary of Israel. Just came from London when I appeared there, and I was very proud. They picked me out to star in the show at Wembley Stadium, and I performed for 11,000 people, celebrating the advent of the 60th birthday of Israel. I was delighted to be there, and the whole country, everybody from the parliament came to see me, and a lot of people from the Knesset of Israel, even though Bush was speaking at the Knesset in Israel a day after me. And a lot of them said, Bush I heard before, they couldn't miss Jackie Mason, they came to see me. Not one person left me for President Bush, but a lot of people left him to see me.
Oh, are you running for president then?
But I didn't even intend to compete with him, it just worked out that way.
But in London, did you find anti-Semitism in the media? BBC is notorious.
Anti-Semitism is not the word for it. Venom and hate is more like it. If they had a choice, they would be the most vicious Nazis in the world. They would be killing Jews in the streets. If the BBC people, if they had a choice, the only thing that controls them is that they're cowards and they're fearful of the law. But if not for the law, they're not the types that could fight. So they can only fight with words, because they're basically helpless cowards. But the hate they have for Jews is immeasurable. It's overwhelming. It's the most powerful thing that drives them. Their sex drive is nothing compared to this. They don't care if they don't have sex for a month, but they can't miss 10 minutes without hating Jews and talking at you an abusive terminology about Jews and the Jewish state. No matter what we do, we're wrong. No matter how many Arabs we saved that we could have. Let's be honest about it. Right now, they're raining rockets at Israel every day. There's no state in the world, there's no country on earth that would tolerate this for a second. Israel has the power to destroy that whole area and everybody in it in 10 minutes. If we weren't a compassionate people, we're compassionate even for the people that are killing us every day. And the BBC can't see anything about the Jewish side of this argument. They can't see Israel as right, even though we're the victims all the time, and we're suffering with suicide bombers for 20 years while we keep pleading for peace and offering everything back. We're offering every part of our country back to them where they don't belong in the first place, which is historically never their home to start with.
So how do we counteract it, Jackie? You're in a lot of different media. How do we get rid of this bias?
By letting people know, by just saying what I'm saying now in the media of the world. But it so happens we don't control the media of the world, and BBC is the most powerful organ in all of Europe, so their voice is a lot stronger. And besides, there's a lot of anti-Semitic feelings in general among the Gentiles of Europe. They still hate a Jew in most countries of Europe.
What about in America? Do you find when you perform in different parts of the country anti-Semitism? Have you encountered that recently?
None at all.
None at all?
Not at all. I find the American Jew is not only not anti-Semitic, but I think not only are they not anti-Semitic, but most of I said the American Jew.
As I was going to say, the American Jew.
The Gentiles of this country are not only anti.
I hope the American Jews aren't anti-Semitic. That's what I was saying. You know?
Although, as I told you,
I thought you're building up.
As I said many times, many American Jews are anti-Semitic. Just expresses itself in a different way. They don't know they hate a Jew, but they hate a Jew who sounds like a Jew, or talks like a Jew, or looks like a Jew. Because, as I said before, they're embarrassed by anything Jewish. But the point is this: the culture of the Jew embarrasses them because they're dying to identify themselves with Gentiles, but they would never hate a Jew. Though right now, I better apologize for this statement, because right now in the colleges and the universities of America, the Palestinians have a lot more support than the Jews. And the Palestinian cause has a lot more support than the Jewish cause. In all the universities of this country, the professors keep indoctrinating the kids, and the kids are ready to believe it, because the American Jewish kid is a spoiled kid who's living like a king, and he has everything for nothing, and he walks around with a guilty conscience, feeling like he owes an underdog something. And they told him that the Palestinians are the underdogs. Somehow they tell him we're persecuting an innocent people. These are our, because we have so much money and power, and they look like they're living in tents, and they are convinced that we put them there. We're not letting them out of there. We're subjugating them, and we're keeping them as practically as slaves and as victims of our power.
That's what they believe.
And that's what they believe, and that's what they keep indoctrinating them about.
But you have people like Jimmy Carter that helps along that cause.
Don't you see people who are professional liberals who like to believe that we're persecuting the black people every day? They still want to believe it? No matter what you do for a black person, they feel that black people are still being persecuted every day?
I think Ed Koch said it best, where they came to him for reparations, and he said, you have to pay for enslaving us. And Ed Koch said, my grandparents were being killed and beaten in Poland. Right. What are you coming to me for reparations for?
I say that to my act. I said, the Jews have something to do with slavery.
Of course, but they blame us for that.
Fleeing from Europe, did they take a slave with them?
But does it help like people like Jimmy Carter come out?
Jimmy Carter is a vicious, sick anti-Semite from the word go. He could think nothing of anything except getting even with Jewish people. He has a hate for Jews it's an obsessive kind of hate. He keeps saying exactly what all the vicious anti-Semites are saying, that we're persecuting the Arabs, that the Hamas is there because Jews have made them into victims, and they wouldn't allow them the freedom to be able to live and to prosper and to grow and to move and to develop their economy, and we're subjugating them and suppressing them, and we've enslaved them, and because of us they can't get anywhere in life. They are victims of Judaism. How did they become our victims when we're offering them not only their country back, but we're offering to help them every day, and we still help them every day, and they still make a living in Israel all the time. All the Arabs are making a living in Israel, and we keep supporting them while their families are keep bombing our country. And we have to guess every time if this Arab that we're supporting will become a suicide bomber.
We have to put on electricity so they can see how to make the bombs. Right? They can't make it in the dark. We got to turn on the lights. It's unbelievable.
The guy is on his way to kill Jews, and while he's on his way to kill us, we're offering him a job. And we support him so that he can find enough money for the bullets, the guns, the ammunition to be able to kill us with.
They blow up so fast. We'll be right back with our final stretch with the great Jackie Mason at the New World Stages right after these messages. Don't go away.
I'm Dr. Roscoe Brady. I discovered the cause and a treatment for type 1 Gaucher disease. Gaucher disease is the most common Jewish genetic disease. It is more common than Tay-Sachs. Symptoms of Gaucher disease include excessive fatigue, enlarged belly, easy bruising, and bone pain. There are effective treatment options for these people. Early detection is critical. To locate a Gaucher treatment center near you, please call the number on the screen or visit www.gauchercare.com.
You won't find someone who loves Sharf Satire Vote more than me. The staff here is wonderful. They treat him like a friend. Mr. and Mrs. Shard have helped me so many times. Anytime I had a question, they were like the first people I would call, and it was like calling, you know, a good friend that gave you advice from the heart.
As soon as I walked into Sharf Satire Vote, I said, this is it for my mother. Everybody was so lovely and warm, and there were so many activities, and I saw this atmosphere, this ambience immediately.
Everybody and anybody in the neighborhood walks in all the time to visit, to cheer up the people, to have nachas, to see a place run so well.
A lot of people don't know this about my mother. She ran facilities in Ohio for senior citizens. I think that this is God rewarding her now, being in a place where she's having such good care.
My parents really needed someone to give them the love that this place was able to give them.
You know, it's the funniest thing to me. Everybody likes to pretend they don't want to eat desserts because they're on a diet. So when any time a waiter comes over to them in any restaurant, anybody for dessert, and they all give you a list of sicknesses. No, I can't have dessert. I have high blood pressure, I have low sugar, I have my cholesterol's up, my blood was down, my wife, her whole head will fall right off. No. If she has a leg problem, she'll go like this, the whole thing. Then the waiter tells me, the boss just told me to tell you that all the desserts are on the house. No kidding! Bring out whatever you got.
Welcome back to the program. I am Zev-Brenner, the ultimate Jew. Jackie Mason, the talented Jackie Mason, our very special guest. We're discussing world politics. His last New York show, The Ultimate Jew, on Broadway, but it's at the New World Stages, but it's also going to be around the country as well. We're talking about anti-Semitism before, but there's also...
I was trying to say that the Gentiles of America are just the opposite of the Gentiles anyplace else, especially the evangelical type of Gentiles, the far-right Gentiles that everybody calls the fundamentalists and the far right. The far right always had a symbolic, somehow sound of being very narrow-minded or bigoted or anti-Semitic, and exactly the opposite is true. They are the most open-hearted, kind-hearted, loving people towards the Jews that even the Jews are. They have somehow unlimited devotion to the whole idea of the cause of Israel, much more so than any Jew. Jews are divided in a lot of ways, and some of them are guilt-ridden in a lot of ways. And I said some of these pseudo-intellectuals like to think that we're subjugating and destroying the Arab population, and because of us they're an enslaved people. They have all kinds of complexes. But the evangelicals know that this is our land, it's biblically ours, and we belong there. The Arabs don't belong there. We're giving them this as a gift of our own land. It's like as if Jews are offering people half of Florida, even though it's their own country, and just to make peace, they're offering it to them. You want half of California, a third of Pittsburgh? What part of the country do you want just to make peace? That's what we're doing there. That's why the evangelicals love the Jews, and they love what we're talking about because they identify with it and they believe in it, and they believe in it from a religious point of view. They're practically religious fanatics on the subject. Because after they study and learn everything, like all of this, they know that biblically and historically, this is our land. And they know that they should defend it because they know that the future of Christianity depends on the basis of the Jewish history that it comes from.
We have a few moments left. I was curious, did any comic influence you as you started your career?
Comics influenced me not to imitate them, not to sound like them, and not to do anything they do. That's the only influence they had on me. Every time I listen to another comedian, I realize how hollow and empty and pointless and meaningless their comedy is. It's comedy based on absolutely nothing. It says nothing. And it goes no place. And by the time you finish hearing it, you might as well forget about it because you missed nothing if you never heard it in the first place. It's reflective of nothing real.
But do you have any respect, any great comics out there?
Certainly a couple of comedians.
Who do you like?
There's a couple of comedians I happen to like a lot that I think have a lot to say.
For example?
Like Georgie Collin. He might be vulgar, dirty, and all that. People say that about him, which is true. But he also has brilliant things to say. He's a very clever commentator on a lot of truths of life.
Anybody else?
Jerry Seinfeld says a lot of clever things. This guy Larry David has a lot of funny reflections of the traditions and the character of Jews and Gentiles and the differences between them and all the ridiculous characteristics of their behavior.
Is there anybody out there who you think carries
in general, most comics have nothing to
say. Is there anybody out there you think that carries on your tradition, that you think has been influenced by your style?
I see a lot of comedians that are influenced by my style. As a matter of fact, every time I watch television, I see some of my jokes stolen on different sitcoms. Every time there's a writer from a sitcom in my audience, within 2 or 3 months, I know I'm going to see at least 12 jokes from my act that he stole and found place to put it in those shows. I see pieces of my show every place by other comedians.
But some of them, I think
some of them actually steal complete sections of it and pieces of it. But it takes them a lot of work. It will take them years to think of a joke because most of them never think of a joke. The average comedian changes his material with about 2 new minutes in 63 years. I have to develop a whole new 2-hour show every year.
But the critics are watching you. They're counting on a meter, how many new jokes you have, right? They have a people meter.
Right.
But, which is terrific that everybody's interested in what is Jackie Mason. They can't repeat a joke, even though some of it is great. I don't know why you can't mix new and old material, but they're watching you like a hawk.
Right.
Now, The Ultimate Jew, you're billing that this is your last New York performance. Why is it your last New York performance?
Too much hard work to develop a whole new 2-hour show each time. And I'll tell you the truth, I have to perfect it so delicately and so perfectly. By the time I get to Broadway, I go through a couple of months of arduous, effortful time.
I think you were monthly testing out your jokes too?
I test it out in comedy clubs. Every time 6 Jews get together bar mitzvah, I try out the joke. Every time a guy says hello, I try out the joke. If a guy said good night, he went home, I follow him and tell him the joke again. I keep trying out the joke every place I go to make sure it works, because no matter how well you write a joke and how funny you think it is, you never know for sure until you see if people laugh at it. There's no such thing as guessing perfectly. There's no such thing. Why do you think if you watch Jay Leno, he's a very good comedian, but if you watch his monologue at the opening of a show, maybe 1 out of 3 jokes is funny. If he's lucky, maybe 1 out of 5 or 6. That's what he's lucky. Sometimes 7 jokes go by without 1 laugh. And sometimes a couple of them get a laugh. But if you see Jay Leno do his own act, which I've seen in Atlantic City and a couple of other places, he's consistently hilarious. He's a hilariously funny guy, very funny, clever material, that's very funny commentaries about everything in life. But that's because he tried it out over the years, and by that time he perfected it. But when you write material that's written at 5 o'clock and you have to tell it at 6:30, the chance of it all being funny, I don't care if you're Groucho Marx or you're a historical figure, you could be Will Rogers, nobody could predict every joke that fast.
But during the course of your show, it's not the same routine every night, because you add what's in the headlines, what's in the news, you're constantly improvising.
Right. I do a lot of experimental work and new work because I want to make sure it's updated to the very last minute. I want to make sure that my act sounds like the same thing people would be discussing at the dinner table that night. People don't sit around talking about what happened 2 weeks ago. Those parts of my act that are political and new, and I talk about current issues and political stories that are taking place, those things are very ephemeral in nature. They move from one day to the other and nobody's interested in what happened 3 weeks ago. So that part of my act is constantly changing and is always new.
But Jack,
then I do a lot of things that I developed for the show that are the same, that are still new for this show, but I don't change it every day. There's different parts of the act. If I talk about certain things about a coffee or a car or a house or about sex, about love, about marriage, I don't have to change it every day. Marriage doesn't change every day. It's just as boring from one day to the other.
But our audience, are you more critical of New York audiences? You're saying you're going to take this show around the country. Are you more critical of New York audiences?
No, New York audiences are the most sophisticated audiences in the world, but they're also cynical and bitter and harder to please. The best audience in the world is in London.
Why London?
Because when they laugh at a joke, they not only laugh, they applaud, and they dance in the aisles, and they want to follow you home and give you presents. They make a celebration out of a good comedian. They don't just laugh at the joke, they celebrate it. It's a whole tumult. When I went to do the Royal Comment performance for the Queen of England the first time 23 years ago, since then I've done 8 Royal Comment performances. I hold the record for an American performer doing Royal Comment performances. The most any American performer did in terms of Royal Comment performances is 3. That was done by Danny Kaye 40 years ago. Since then, no American performer ever did 8 Royal Comment performances.
Wow. Did she make you a knight?
Because the Queen, every time I do a show, I get a letter from the Queen, from the royal family, asking me if I'll please come to the next show. And I've been invited to every one of the Royal Comment shows for the last 20 years.
Wow. Did she make you a knight, though?
No, she made me a day.
I thought, why is this night different than the other night? Anyway, Jackie, I want to thank you. I urge everybody, you got to see Jackie if he's in your city or state, whether it's the New World Stages in New York, the Ultimate Jew, wherever might be performing. Very talented Jackie. Thank you. Farganigan, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you. It's certainly a pleasure. I know that your show is a very big hit, but now it'll improve a lot as soon as people hear that I was here. Your price will probably go up, but I don't know if you'll give me any money for it, but I deserve a few dollars.
Maybe I'll buy a ticket.
I'll deserve a few dollars.
When you're coming back.
I'll take whatever I can get.
The great Jackie Mason will be back after these messages. Stay tuned. Don't go away.
Agent MS is the great new video series for Jewish kids that educates while it entertains. Shimmy Epstein is a typical yeshiva boy, but when the forces of evil strike, led by their fiendish leader, Dr. Lotov, Shimmy transforms into the awesome Agent MS. The Forward recommends Agent MS as a perfect gift, reporting that in their experience, kids just eat it up. Agent MS is now out in 3 great episodes. Find it in your local Judaica store, or check out their website at agent-ms.com, or call 1-888-MS-123.
Are you in business? A store owner, wholesaler, or manufacturer? Do you know you may be eligible for free television and radio advertising? Millions of dollars are lost every year by businesses not taking advantage of free radio and television advertising. Don't lose out. Advertising is the lifeline of any business, large or small. For free consultation, call us in the New York area, 212-769-1925. Out of New York, 866-MY-TV-SHOW.
I'm Dr. Roscoe Brady. I discovered the cause and a treatment for type 1 Gaucher disease. Gaucher disease is the most common Jewish genetic disease. It is more common than Tay-Sachs. Symptoms of Gaucher disease include excessive fatigue, enlarged belly, easy bruising, and bone pain. There are effective treatment options for these people. Early detection is critical. To locate a Gaucher treatment center near you, please call the number on the screen or visit www.gauchercare.com.
Discover Accentuations by Design's state-of-the-art complete home decorating and furniture showroom in Brooklyn. They have everything you need for your home, including furniture for every room of your house, lighting fixtures, wallpaper, fabrics, window treatments, home accessories, and more for every taste and budget, and a free decorating service too. Stop into Accentuations by Design at 1501 60th Street.
Amit nurtures and teaches children at risk throughout Israel, from orphans of the Holocaust in 1947 to the children of Russian and Ethiopian immigrants in 1999. Amit has cared for Israel's neediest children for nearly 75 years. In over 55 schools, youth villages, and children's homes in Israel, Amit offers academic and technological training in a religious environment for over 14,000 children. Amit is your investment in Israel's future. For an information packet, call today.
I'm Dr. Roscoe Brady. I discovered the cause and a treatment for type 1 Gaucher disease. Gaucher disease is the most common Jewish genetic disease. It is more common than Tay-Sachs. Symptoms of Gaucher disease include excessive fatigue, enlarged belly, easy bruising, and bone pain. There are effective treatment options for these people. Early detection is critical. To locate a Gaucher treatment center near you, please call the number on the screen or visit www.gauchercare.com.
You won't find someone who loves Sharf Satara more than me. The staff here is wonderful. They treat him like a friend. Mr. and Mrs. Sharf have helped me so many times. Anytime I had a question, they were like the first people I would call, and it was like calling, you know, a good friend that gave you advice from the heart.
As soon as I walked into Sharf Satara, I said, this is it for my mother. Everybody was so lovely and warm, and there were so many activities, and I saw this atmosphere, this ambience immediately.
Everybody and anybody in the neighborhood walks in all the time to visit, to cheer up the people, to have nachas, to see a place run so well.
A lot of people don't know this about my mother. She ran facilities in Ohio for senior citizens. I think that this is God rewarding her now, being in a place where she's having such good care.
My parents really needed someone to give them the love that this place was able to give them.
I love when people want to go for a vacation, so they go to some French island. If you sit in your house and you're doing nothing, it's a tragedy. If you go to Coney Island and you sat on the sand, you would consider yourself a moron. But if you go to some French island, they always find some French island that no Jew was ever there before. So they feel like they went to an exotic, exclusive place so they could come back and tell you, I just came from an island called Jackie Mason. And they could show off there. It was such a tiny island. There was nobody there. What a great place to rest. You rest because there's nothing to do there. They've elevated resting into a certain kind of a luxury. Like it's impossible to rest in this country. If you want to rest, sit in your house, lock the door. Who's going to bother you?
Hope you've enjoyed our very special broadcast. I'm Zev-Brenner, inviting you to join us again next week, same time, same station, here on the Talkline Communications Network. Shalom.
I know Zev-Brenner personally, and I never miss his show. There's a good reason I never miss a show. I got nothing else to do. Because I'll tell you the truth, after I get off the stage, I say to myself, where is Zev-Brenner? Could you imagine what a busy life I have and how much I got to live for if this is it? But this is it for me. And if it's it for me, and I'm an international star, it should be the most important thing in the world to you too. Because let's be honest about it, no matter who you are, you're no Jackie Mason. Get over it. So watch Zev-Brenner. It's up to you.